Hey everybody, welcome back, movie review time, where we geek out about a movie we just saw, and we just saw Terminator Dark Fate. I made the same stupid voice that I made in the no spoiler video.
You sounded slightly less Russian.
Okay, comrade.
There you go.
Anyways, this is going to be our spoilers video. We are going to talk about all the spoilers of this movie. So we're going to give you a minute here while we do a bunch of other talk to, put down the baby, chug the beer, and click out of this video if you don't want Terminator Dark Fate spoilers, because there's definitely stuff to be spoiled here. They did a pretty good job of keeping a lot of stuff out of the marketing. And if you did want a no spoiler review, which you should also watch even if you're looking for spoilers, because it's more of our general ideas and thoughts about the movie. This is just going to be us specifically talking about some scenes and stuff. We do have that. We have a link in the description below and all that kind of stuff. So you can check that out first and you can come on back here when you're ready for spoilers. I also like to point out that we are not movie reviewers. We're just movie geeks that like movies, like to talk about movies, and share our opinions with you so you can share your opinions with us, and then maybe get roasted by Howard Stern on occasion. I don't know. It's a thing. So there's all that stuff. Also, you can check out my Stardust app. Look up TheEricButts, use the link in the description below, where we do 30-second movie reviews and such that are right out of the theater. And my Patreon, where I have reviews for all the other Terminator movies up there right now. Some are for free. And as of today, my Star Wars Episode 1 Phantom Menace fan commentary is out, and it is also free. So you can check that out on my Patreon, TheEricButts, or links in the description below. So I think that covers just about everything. All right, so here comes your final warning for spoilers, because we will talk about the end. We could even talk about the end first. You just don't know. So spoilers. Are you helping here? Spoilers. You usually jump in.
Sorry, I just zoned out a little bit.
That's
My
fine.
bad.
You just got so just enamored with the sound of my voice.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, right. All right, so spoilers then. I can't believe that Sarah Connor had spent all this time writing Doogie Howser fanfic. I was waiting for your alien joke, to be honest. But
apparently people don't want me doing that.
No, like one person made a reference. And I don't even think they were against it. I think they were just like, and there's the joke.
All right, fine.
You can keep making it. All right, I thought you'd make it now. But no, so yeah, we had a real fun time with this. Action is awesome. Some of the reveals are very cool. Carl and his drapes are wonderful.
That was the best thing.
That was so great. When he was sitting there talking like about, and he wanted plain solid colors for his daughter's room. I told him, don't do it. You should get butterflies or polka dots or something more fun.
Or balloons.
Or balloons. It's like, oh my God, this is crazy.
How he's just so freaking just deadpan about it.
He is. Yeah.
And Sarah's going like, just shoot me now.
Yeah, she is, and I love her crankiness so much. But yeah, that stuff was so great, and I was so happy because I was under the impression this was going to be some kind of human Arnold that maybe was what was originally modeled the T-800 after, but I didn't know how that would work.
Did you ever hear the fan theory that he was modeled after his character from Predator?
No, I haven't heard that fan theory, but I know there was a deleted scene in part 3 where you met this Marine sergeant.
Yeah, but apparently there's like some sort of like his number from that shows up on his view screen on Terminator or something like that.
No, I hadn't heard that.
I don't remember the entire. I think it was a Nerdist thing.
Okay, well there you go. There's something fun you can look up. But
sorry.
Are we gonna take 5 minutes to figure this part out?
Do you talk first? I talk first.
How does this work?
Yeah.
God, derailer. Wow, derailer.
So let's start with the beginning.
Well, I was gonna finish up the Arnold stuff since we got on it, but
so Carl, his drapes.
Yeah, and I love that idea that he was a T-800, and of course this ties into the beginning. So I guess actually we'll go to the beginning. We'll come back around. The beginning is jaw-droppingly awesome.
Yeah, the
de-aging, like it was so good. I didn't even pick up on what we were looking at initially. Like, I was just like, oh yeah, there's T2 Sarah Connor. Like, they use actual T2 footage over the credits of her in the insane asylum, or the mental hospital. But then we have a scene in like 1998 or 97, whenever it was. 98. Of 1991, Linda Hamilton with 1991 Edward Furlong John Connor. And when you first see Linda Hamilton, I'm just like, yeah, okay, that's cool. And then it hit me. It's like, wait a minute. This isn't like old scene or anything. This is, whoa, look at that de-aging. which is especially awesome.
Question,
hold on, just let me finish that thought.
Okay.
Let me just finish that one thought,
go,
which is especially interesting because when I was watching Terminator 5 last night, my biggest gripe is the recasting, and it's like they should have gotten people and did de-aging faces or whatever. And seeing it in this, I was just like, wow, that's what they needed to do. Okay.
The thing is, her sitting at the table was very reminiscent of her sitting at that picnic bench. I'm not sure if they kind of lifted from that.
They might have kind of face
redressed it.
replaced a little bit or something, maybe. Yeah, that's possible. But I'm sure there's actual de-aging happening here because there's clearly stuff that...
Yeah.
And it looks
I'm just,
so good.
Yeah.
And then Edward Furlong looks so good. And then Arnold
Not that
looks,
kind of so good, people.
No, yeah. Just we're talking about the quality of the effects here. And then Arnold, like the T8, they've been doing that a lot in the others. Like, mild spoilers for the other movies, but they often have to have the original model T800, so they're using like digital face Arnold, and it's been pretty good and gotten better over time. But man, they killed it in this one.
Yeah.
Like, it just looks so good. And then he blasts John Connor right in the chest.
Mm-hmm.
Dead.
Double tapped.
Yeah, Sarah can't stop him, and then they don't show his head explode from a shotgun blast, but essentially she's staring right at Edward, or young John Connor, and watching his head get blown to bits. And so immediately you're just like,
I don't think he did a headshot, actually.
I'm just assuming it's a headshot.
No,
It's Terminator.
because you saw through his eyes John's body. I'm pretty sure it still had a head.
I don't remember that.
It was there.
I don't remember that. I don't trust you.
I derailed you again, didn't I?
Yeah. It doesn't help that right now I'm so distracted with a billion other things that I'm more easily derailed right now. My brain is struggling focusing on this one
He kills
thing.
John Connor and then just walks off.
Yeah. That's just crazy.
Never to be seen again.
And then it's like, wow, okay, that changes things. Which it does, but it's inevitable, and Skynet is now the Legion.
Well, somebody else developed an AI that turned into the Legion.
Basically, the same thing happened.
Yeah.
Same thing, different name.
Except that...
Which makes sense. That's how this would work. It's a time war, and that's one of the things I did like about Terminator 5, that they do a little bit of here, but not as much as like a T5, which is they really focus on it being a time war, where they're always going to be jumping back and forth in time, and then, okay, now that doesn't work, so now we'll send this back, and
like playing the
parallel
time game
universe
in
and-
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
yeah, pretty much. That's not a terrible analogy,
Or
but that was an awesome opening.
Bogus Journey, actually.
Okay. Yeah, I can't. Can we just talk about Terminator? No,
Sorry.
no.
I
That was not something for you to apologize to. I was going to say that I apologize because I'm not upset with you for saying other things. That's totally fine. I'm just, my brain power is rapidly dying and I need to
Okay.
talk about Terminator.
All right. So...
Sorry. I'd hoped for
Okay.
something Kyle
But-
Reese
but-
related. Didn't get it.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's all. That was an
I'm-
easy thought I had.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that was directed. Okay.
No.
Okay. Now you got me
Now I've got you.
confused.
You derail. I kerfluffle. I fluster.
Okay, so, it's a new setup for they're now Revs instead of Terminators. So the Luna characters at Rev 5,
Rev 9.
Rev 9. And it's interesting how it's like if you took a T800 and a T1000 and just merged them together.
But much better than they did in Rise of the Machines.
See, I didn't see that one.
Right,
So,
yeah.
But what I didn't like, I was kind of hoping they would keep the shiny silver because, quite frankly, he looks like Venom half the time.
That's fair. I assume it's just supposed to be a more interesting metal. They don't really get too much into that.
Yeah, they don't
so-
say like some carbon fiber or something. I
Right.
don't know.
But again, I think that's also to this movie's credit, is like they don't mess around with stuff that's not really important.
What are you doing? Future shit.
Yeah, like even that. Like that was a great thing. It's like, I'm not going to explain that I'm hacking your phone to find the encrypted data, the blah, 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 blah. It's like future shit. It's like, we know. Like, we watch movies, so that's all you got to say. Cool. Thank you for summing that up that succinctly. That was just perfect. So yeah, I agree with that. And I love the idea that Terminator grew a conscience because he kind of
The
had his own...
Arnold one.
Yeah, he had his own family. He essentially got a family.
It's like, I have nothing to do.
Yeah, and he found purpose. And then, so he can figure out when people are going to show up from the future, and he sends Sarah Connor out to kill them all the time.
I gave you something to do.
Yeah, he gave her a purpose for John, which is actually pretty awesome. That he once he kind of gained a family, he began to understand what he took from her. I mean,
my bad.
yeah, and luckily, even though he is, like you said, he's deadpan as can be in this, he's still really funny for some of that deadpan. It works more like T2 than T3, because again, you didn't see it, but T3 is very self-aware and has him almost get too comedic with some of his lines. And this is like just, I mean, even that thing when he's explaining what his wife sees in him is like, I change diapers with maximum efficiency and no argument or complaints. I am a good listener and I am incredibly funny. You know, it's just like, you're not funny, but because you said that so deadpan, it is funny. That was awesome. That was so good.
Because I expected the end of the world, and this is Texas.
Oh yeah, with all the guns, like why he has so many guns. Yes, because there's a 77% chance probability that one way or another the human civilization will collapse, and I will need to protect my family. Plus, this is Texas. And that definitely got the biggest laugh in the theater, for sure.
Between that and the drapes.
Yeah, those two were great. But I also love how much like kind of aerial combat stuff we got in here, which was real fun too. Like the helicopter chase was like taken to a new level, and then like the plane
with the zero grav fighting.
Oh yeah, the zero grav fight was epic, dude. That was so cool, and not something I expected in a Terminator movie, but I'm like, yes, and they made it make sense how they got there and everything. And even that they, you know, Sarah has connections in the military now, and the guy's like, these are special contractors.
Yeah, that wasn't something from the Sarah Connor Chronicles, was
Well,
it?
that doesn't tie into any of this, and,
right.
and no, they never really got into any of that.
I was just kind of wondering if that was maybe a nod, and I just didn't know it.
Yeah, no, and unfortunately that doesn't really tie into any of this, but man, if you've never seen the Sarah Connor Chronicles, I want to tell you to see it because it is amazing. But at the same time, I don't want to tell you to see it because they had the greatest cliffhanger a Terminator film or series could ever have at the end of season 2, right before they got canceled. And I don't want to encourage you to have to deal with the unresolved issues that will leave because I am still mad about it. And anybody that's seen that show, you know what we're all talking about. Like, I want to see how that happens. And if anything, without spoiling it, this movie mildly kind of addresses a version of that, you know, because John is not the future resistance leader in this movie, so, you know, because he's dead in this movie. That's not what the series spoiler is, so still should watch it, but,
yeah.
But yeah, no, I just like that she had the military contacts and all that stuff.
But, so are you done?
No, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So, I do like the effort they put into some of the design, though, like Grace's, all of her scars, which I swear to God were not in the trailers, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah, we want to go back and see if that was something in the trailers where they were just kind of keeping it secret.
Because I know it's like well, what's going on with that thing on her? And then it's just like, oh no, that's her entire body. It's like, damn. And then you see the whole thing where she was augmented, and you're like, yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, she's definitely scarred up, and I don't think it's in the trailers. I think you might be right, because I think in the trailers they were trying to play the mystery, what is she? And in this movie, it's not a mystery at all. Like, the second she shows up, she's like, no, I'm a human, I'm just augmented. It's like, okay, moving on. It's like, oh, okay. Like, actually, if anything, maybe you shouldn't, hopefully you're not watching this before you see it, but maybe you shouldn't go in expecting too much in the way of mystery, because the trailers give you an idea that there's some mystery to what's going on here. But there's really not much mystery in the movie. The one thing that's kind of the twist with the girl they're protecting, Danny, that twist you can kind of see coming. I like how they did it, that Sarah just assumes she's the new Sarah, and maybe this is the thing that like the incel types get upset about when Sarah's like, you know, oh, you're just, you're the new me, and you're gonna give birth to the man that will save the universe or save humanity and all that stuff. And then the twist is, no, she doesn't give birth to anybody. She is the one that saves. And you can totally see it coming. I don't mind. It was done very well, I thought.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But no, going back to design.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, design.
Now, with the Rev 9, I have so many questions.
Oh yeah, we were talking about like a hollowed out head and all that.
Yeah, it's just like, where's your brain? You gotta have a CPU somewhere.
Well, as technology gets more and more advanced, the computer chips get smaller and smaller. You know, like the Terminator chip itself is not even that big.
Yeah, and that was my thing, was like, how did
just even
Arnold's
a T800 chip is only like that big.
Now and that was actually my other question with the version of Carl. Because in T2, in order for him to develop his conscience, they had to reboot his chip because he was designed not to ask questions.
Yeah.
And presumably none of that happened with Carl.
Yeah, they do leave that up in the air a little bit. I mean, maybe he was more like a T850, sorry, a T850, which is something they did in 3. They don't really talk about it, though. They do call him a T101, which is also a confusing thing. Like, I thought it was Series T101, but it's a Model T800. But then sometimes the movies are like, no, he's a Model 101, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm just sticking with T800.
Where's my 808 with a nice bass?
I thought you were all about that. You are all about that bass. You just don't want any treble. But yeah, like with these, I like the idea though that the endoskeleton underneath is more hollow and scooped out. He's got less place for destruction. He's like minimalist design. Like
I
it's
guess
only what you
more
need.
places for the fluid parts to go.
I think that too. Like he can store more of the fluid in there through the holes and all that. And I like the idea that they're very strong separately and have their own tactics separately as the endoskeleton and the skin. Yeah. But then when they come together, they become that much more powerful.
Well, I got the impression that the liquid one
take a break. Go ahead. No.
Was basically the brain, and basically the skeleton's like, okay, you autopilot this shit. Because the skeleton was always doing more basic stuff.
Yeah, I could see that, but I could also see an argument for the other way, that they really are kind of symbiotic and have some say in the same way, but I could see that it's maybe a little bit more the skin having more of the control of things. Yeah. I'll tell you what, we'll be right back.
And we're back.
All right, cool. So hopefully it won't be too much longer, though.
Okay, again.
No, we've got plenty to talk about.
More things about the Rev 9. He makes a gun once.
Actually, I thought that was the case, but that wasn't the case. That's why the father brought the lunches. The gun was actually in the bag, but the bag was part of his skin and fake. What? So that was him. That's why nobody saw him walking a gun into the facility, because he made his skin be the bag over the gun. Because I was with you. I thought that when that happened, when it dissolved and he had a gun.
That explains so much.
Yeah, I thought that was the case.
That.
Yeah, it is maybe a little unclear, but it took me a second, but I was like, oh, okay, because I thought that too. I thought, oh crap, this guy can form guns. Like that's the thing, like actual guns. I was like, oh wait, no. It's just one of those things I managed to pick up on, but that's what it was, because the bag was still his skin and like pulled back, and his hand, and then the metal his skin turned into the actual hand, and he was holding the gun. So it's like, So that was cool.
And what I also thought was interesting was this one, when it went full bow mode, did not go into the tactics that you see the other Rev 9s doing in the flash forward scenes.
Oh, like kind of like the spiky tentacles?
Basically Doc Octing out and...
Doc Octing, I like that. And
because like, I'm sitting here going like, when you're liquid metal like that, you can get really creative on how you fight, because you aren't limited to just using your hands or whatever. You can go, I need this thing here. Boom.
Yeah, I love that. Like when all the security guards in the facility are piling up on him, and he just starts spiking out through all of them. Yeah, that was pretty cool. And stuff like that is where they brought back some of the horror.
That's just like, you want to kill somebody, like make sure you do it the first time. You give them a hug and you just go Iron Maiden on them, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. And we got to see that, and it's really awesome. And I mean, there's blood flying, and I mean, it's brutal and it's violent. And some of the imagery of like even them fighting him, the Rev, like just like how ripping apart his face and all that stuff, and chunks coming out. Really, really cool imagery. Yeah,
because quite frankly, the only hope that you have is that you have not so much that your gunfire is going to hurt it, is that your gunfire has enough kinetic energy to back him off. Yeah, keep him away from you. And I love that they have all those conversations too about if you don't destroy a Terminator in the first 2 minutes, you're dead. Like just those kind of military thoughts and tactics are neat. And I guess the Rev 9 is a model where you're sitting here going like, you're not even killing it in the first 2 minutes. You just run. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, maybe you can buy yourself a little time, and distract it. And again, that's what I really liked about the future stuff in this, even though the future stuff felt real anime to me this time. Even like the drop ship with the troops on it, with like this kind of transformery, that felt anime. The way the Terminators or the Revs were coming out with like the tentacle stuff and everything, it's like very anime. And I'm just thinking, I need a Terminator anime. I just need that. You were talking about having one for the future, and it's like, I kind of want to see how you go, because you get the flash forward / flashback. It's from, depending on whose view you're looking at. From a certain point of view. Where Grace is being rescued by Danny. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because at that point, all people have are just regular firearms. And it's just like, okay, how do you get from that to having high-tech hover ships and being able to augment people?
And that thought occurred to me during the movie, and I just went ahead and said, they probably just, taken old Terminator tech and, modified it for their own uses, is my assumption, the course of the war.
You have to assume that somehow they capture a base or something.
Right. Well, and they do, because, the Terminators, and the Revs, whatever they're called now, they do get punched in the face a lot by the humans, it's not as one-sided a war as you might initially think, because, they do have plenty of victories along the way, or at least that's usually how it goes. So it's totally feasible that they end up capturing some Terminator tech.
I'm assuming Rev is supposed to be short for something, but I'm just wondering.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like a Revenant or Ravager?
I don't know. Yeah, again, that's the kind of stuff I figure will be more explained in comics, or if they do sequels to this.
Anyways.
Now, one thing I did want to bring up, because I mentioned it in non-spoilers and we didn't get to talk about it, is Arnold, because he is a T-800, the Rev universe, the T-800s were never made. So there was a moment when the Rev first is fighting Arnold, I think in the plane, and he scraps off the flesh and he sees the robot arm. Sorry. Flesh. I spittled, sorry. See, you're right, it's all a sham. She doesn't like it when I... anyways.
It scrapes off the flesh.
And then the Rev looks at it confused, like, wait a minute, what? What are you? And they'd never really do anything more with that. But I would think that, to me, that would be a fascinating element for them to touch upon, is like, wait a minute, where did this cyborg robot come from that I've never known or seen in my life? Because, again, from that future timeline, the T-800s never would have been a thing. So I thought that was kind of neat, but I wish they would have done a little bit more with that. But I'm glad they had that one little beat where the Rev kind of looked at him like, say what?
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting that even after Skynet was destroyed, other Terminators were still popping up. Well, they were probably... again, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey shit. I understand that, but if Skynet, theoretically, once Skynet was destroyed, all the Terminators should have disappeared.
Now hold on. All right, there's two different things going on here. One, where you might be thinking they're all Terminators from Skynet. They're probably not. It's probably from various different futures, various different types of timelines, or it is all from the new Legion Rev timeline, the ones that are popping up that Arnold's sending her to destroy. But while you're thinking there's a bunch of Terminators, and I'm assuming this is why, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is there is a line in the beginning that I do think is neat, that Sarah says they didn't just send back the one Terminator to get John, they had sent back a bunch.
Right.
And that's like the one that shows up that becomes Carl. So those are actually the Terminators. And maybe some of those she went around killing. And then Carl starts texting her, hey, there's another robot thing coming in. It may not specifically be a Terminator. Just, it's like, okay, because she's out there altering the timeline, taking out all these other Terminators. So then as new ones come in, every time she destroys one, that alters the timeline again. So then maybe another version comes in. If you think about the logic of Terminator too hard, it will give you an aneurysm.
It's Dragon Ball time travel.
Well, honestly, I think what they're doing is probably the most accurate version of if time travel existed. I think theirs is actually very scientifically accurate, because it would just be a crap ton of paradoxes, paradoxes, paradoxi. We were trying to figure out the plural of paradox earlier. But, I just think because that's the problem with time travel, is just any little thing is going to open up parallel worlds and universes, and and again, that's kind of what I like about the idea, now that I think about it, that Danny at the end is like, I don't care about the future, it's the decisions we make right now that matter. And I really like that concept, because that's true, because the only consistent timeline is the timeline you're living in the moment. Because as soon as you start thinking about future, well, one little change can change what that future is going to be. And even by somebody like Grace coming back in time to protect Danny, that immediately already changes the future timelines. Which is like that, like we were talking about with Terminator, the original one, how there was actually Terminator happened 3 times. We're seeing the 3rd iteration of the original Terminator timeline when we watched that first movie.
But did it really? Because it looked like Danny recognized Grace when she saved her in that... when Grace was younger.
But
you
that
see
might
her
have-
look at her and go like, oh fuck, it's you.
But then that might have been that version of the timeline, or I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't know that I necessarily have to see that again. I'm not doubting you. I'm 50-50 on that. But also, this also was where it kind of becomes quantum physics in the sense of reality only exists once it's observed. Nothing exists until it's observed. So I'm too tired to really try to explain this the way I want to explain this.
Maybe another time.
So when she comes back and she's observed, yeah. All right. What else? Let's talk about the movie. What else we got? Because I can't make that make sense right now, but it makes sense sort of to me. But that's the truth of like quantum theory is that until something is observed, it's nothing and everything at the same time. It's almost Schrodinger.
No, that's exactly Schrodinger.
It's a little bit. I'm simplifying it to Schrodinger levels. The quantum version is a bit more complicated. But yeah, it's the Terminator universe. It's very realistic in its science because James Cameron had a hand in that part of it. But at the same time, that's why time travel is just such a complicated scientific concept. So.
Oh gosh, anything else to cover?
Let me see I love that we got like underwater fight too. That was really cool.
Yeah.
All that underwater stuff and the Humvee underwater and everything and the parachutes. Again, just relentless.
Yeah.
Crossing the border, the drone. Mm-hmm. That brings a whole new meaning to drone strike. Because they crashed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. And the red eye on the drone camera, I thought that was kind of cute.
Yeah, that was interesting.
And I like the concept of her being enhanced. She's like Kyle Reese with like superpowers. She can hear things faster, further away, and all that kind of stuff. That was really neat.
Yeah. Although she had I kind of like this like because humans were not meant to be augmented like that. She basically needed a ton of drugs to keep operating.
Yeah, I like that whole concept too. That that she was designed to work in short bursts, not prolonged fights. And that's where the whole if you don't just stop the Terminator in the first 2 minutes, you aren't stopping it kind of thing. That was really neat.
Because I have a feeling they had to remove a few things in order to fit everything else.
Well, they kind of say that like with that X-ray moment, and you kind of see it. It's like, how is she even alive with all this stuff in her? So there's that.
Yeah.
I love the gag about Sarah with her phone in the potato chip bag because the foil keeps them from tracking the GPS, and then later Arnold's like, no, I was tracking you through your phone. But I mean, if you want to keep your phone in a potato chip bag, go right ahead.
It's not real foil.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, that's probably part of it too. Plus, I don't think just foil does that, right? Like, I mean, it's got to be more of a Faraday cage kind of thing, right? There's got to be some kind of charge happening.
I don't know, if you wrapped it in enough tin foil, it might do something.
I mean, maybe enough tin foil, but I mean, like, it'd have to be like that thick. I don't know. I don't know that. I haven't tested that. I'm going off
aluminium.
But so all that stuff was really cool. I was kind of hoping her military contact, it would have been neat if that was actually Miles Dyson's son. Can't think of who it was, Ben or Dave or something like that. That might have been kind of neat. Just because it would have been a neat little tie-in to the others.
Yeah.
And it would have been kind of neat that somehow she ended up still... Because T2 happened, so she would have known him. So that would have been kind of neat that maybe he went on and got a career in the military and he was her secret informant. Like, hey, Sarah, they're starting this AI shit over here in this department again, so I need you to go a little Black Ops. I can get you in. Like, that might have been a cool thread to throw in there, honestly, but...
Or maybe she has done that before.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying they didn't do that, but it would have been neat if that was who that character was, instead of just some kind of random guy that we didn't really feel too much about because he's barely in it. But he was good. It's just like, okay. Let's see. So we got the plane stuff. The highway chase was great. I know I complained a little bit about Sarah Connor's I'll be back line from the trailer, but as expected in context with the movie, I thought it worked. It didn't bother me. And then I liked Arnold's version of I won't be back.
Yeah.
I was like, but it wasn't even jokey. Like, it was sincere, and I just thought that was sweet.
I didn't expect either of them to make it through.
Yeah, well, I mean, Arnold didn't.
Yeah.
He melted all the bits.
Yeah, how did that work exactly?
The thing when it was shorting out the rev, I think it was melting. It was like overheating him. And he was holding on to Arnold.
A serious meltdown.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that was, I think, was the
It's
idea.
like nuclear meltdown.
Well, yeah, and also this was probably a nod to Terminator 3 because again, they didn't do this in this, but they have they're like nuclear powered batteries essentially, so it would make sense that it would be that powerful. However,
I can't decide if it looked more like a giant spark plug or a sonic screwdriver.
I go more spark plug myself, but also I just happened to catch this. It's not super noticeable, but as they pull out of like the two melted endoskeletons down there, you know, they have like the spikes was through. They had one of the poles through the Rev 9. They had another pole that kind of looked like it was through Arnold.
Yeah, it was.
But it looked like it was at his crotch, and when it was just the endoskeleton for a split second, it was like, oh, we saw his Robo Schwarzenschnitzel.
Oh, God.
That is so hard to say. It's such a great line. It's such a great
Schwarzenschnitzel.
Schwarzenschnitzel is what we assume Arnold calls his penis. It's our new game, is what do celebrities name their genitals? You know, like, what was Chris Hardwick? Chris Harddick.
Yeah.
You know, you want a little of the old Chris Harddick? Oh. It's a fun game. You should try it. In the comments, we want to know. Oh, God, that's a can of worms.
Yes, it is.
It's fine, though. I like it.
Anywho.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't really think there was much else. Like the music. It's all good. Yeah, you got anything else?
No.
You sure?
Until we stop shooting, yeah.
Yeah, until we stop shooting, exactly. And for those of you that don't know, see it in IMAX, you might see that Star Wars Con trailer where they show you original trilogy footage on the big screen in IMAX. Was not prepared for that tonight, in case you didn't see our no spoiler review. Yes, I cried like a baby at Luke looking over Tatooine with the sunset and the twin suns and on the big screen in IMAX. I've never seen any original Star Wars in IMAX. That's just wow. Also, we got these cool little collectible figures. I guess I'll pop it out and show you real fast in case you're, you know. Yeah, you cover your face because I can't see your face. Your face. Yep, I know it's backwards. There we go. And then will it? Come on. Yeah, everything is backwards and it's very confusing. There we go. So we got us a Terminator thing. That's very cool. So yeah, all right. So that's our thoughts on Terminator Dark Fate, or at least initially right out of the gate, out of the theater. So this is the spoiler review, so feel free to comment below and let us know what you thought about it, if you agree, you disagree, what you liked, what you didn't like. I always like reading your thoughts and seeing what you have to say. You can also check out the Stardust app or my Patreon and look up TheEricButts. And like I said, I got all those Terminator reviews, Star Wars commentary, a bunch of stuff for free. And of course, we're doing Drunken Movie Night live in about an hour from now. Okay, sweet. In about an hour from now, when you're seeing this video, actually more like half an hour from now, and we'll be watching 2007 From the Asylum, The Terminators, and then 2017 Cyborg X with Danny Trejo. So check that out, live stream on my channel.
I took off my ringer.
Oh, when you were washing your hands, yeah.
Sorry.
No, no. That's my own derailment. I said all that. Stardust, Patreon. Okay, click the thumbs up button. Give us the good old thumb of encouragement. We do love to be encouraged. And now we're going to get out of here so we can go watch some more stuff.
And I'll be back.
And I'll be Beethoven. That took too long. No, you're
I
fine.
forgot.
Bye.
Bye.
Later.